It's looking like the Niners might trade a quarterback after this season, but which quarterback would they trade? What's up? I'm Grant Cohn. That's Dre Area Sports. We're here to talk about the Niners for the next hour. I'm down here at the facility. He's in his man cave. It's looking good. Dre, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Before we get into trades, let's stick with the news. We're going to find out exactly what the extent of these injuries are in a couple of hours when Kyle Shanahan talks to the media. But you saw yesterday, the news was Keion White, groin injury, practice. Kalia Davis, ankle injury, practice. Alfred Collins, hip injury, practice. Talking about practice. Now, I was at practice. Alfred Collins did not practice the entire time, so this must have happened sometime in between previous. But Kalia Davis and Keion White were out there. I saw them. They looked healthy. Clearly, something happened during these very grueling Thursday practices. It's practice. How does this keep happening in practice?
I don't know, and that's the biggest question I keep asking my friends, fans, content creators. How does this keep happening? The Niners have, I mean, if you look at the injury report, right? You saw 3 players on the Rams injury report. You saw like a gazillion on the Niners. And so part of me thinks that, like, hey, look, are they over reporting these injuries? I mean, like, I don't see any team having this many limited to did not practice, to all these names listed on their injury report, but something's going on over there. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's EMF. Who knows? But something's going down. And Keion Clark just got here, and he already got hurt. It makes no sense at all.
Is it possible? I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like for the Yorks to say this is the reason we have so many injuries and then find someone responsible. Couldn't you just put it on the coaches and say, look, man, you've had 9 years to find a solution or to change something? They don't seem to change anything. They have the same practice schedule. They always talk about how grueling their Thursday practices are. Maybe they're practicing too hard. Like maybe, I mean, you want to be prepared, but at the same time, it's not really football. You're not really doing collisions, and you're trying to protect your players, maybe like protect them better by practicing a little less. I don't know.
Well, it's one of those things too, where it's like, look, man, if they're getting hurt this much, by the time Thursday rolls around, you better tone it down a bit because these guys are dropping like flies. And it bothers me so much because I want to see this team succeed. And the crazy part is that they are succeeding. They're 6-3 with this many injuries. A lot of teams with this many injuries would be 3-6 with their backup quarterback in for the past how many weeks now? Like, what, 7 weeks or whatnot? So, look, the Niners had a chance to really bolster up this team, and they didn't do that. They stood pat, and now we have more injuries. So it's just a very frustrating situation for Niner fans.
And it's funny. Some people are like, well, what's the point in trading for people because they're just going to get hurt? And that's true, but it's like, isn't Kyle Shanahan, like, if they weren't winning, this would be a bigger story. Like, you brought back, you weren't responsible for Brock Purdy's first toe injury, but you were responsible for the second one because you brought him back too early. I mean, you weren't responsible for Nick Bosa's torn ACL, but you kind of were responsible for Fred Warner's broken ankle because there were 10 men on the field and you didn't notice, and you could have called timeout and you could have prevented that. Like, there are certain injuries in the NFL that are absolutely unpreventable. There are others that are preventable. And I would put pretty much any practice injury on the preventable scale. 99% of them. Sometimes you have these non-contact ACL, Achilles things that just happen. But Yeturgros Matos pulling his hamstring in a practice when he's had a hamstring injury, and it's like, well, you brought him back too soon. And then there's the final one, which I just don't understand. You got Brock Purdy trying to come back from this toe injury, and he's a limited participant in practice every day for like 4 weeks in a row, but he doesn't even suit up on game day. Why is he practicing? He looks healthy. I don't understand. And they won't explain.
They won't explain that. And it's like he's out there throwing the ball around. He's on his feet. He's looking spry, and they're like, yeah, he won't suit up. Then why hasn't he gone to IR? Why didn't he go on IR to begin with? It's weird. It's almost like they're letting Brock make the decision. They're like, Brock, do you want to go on IR? No, I'm going to try to come back. It's a week-to-week basis. Okay, well, our trainers say you're out 6 weeks. No, I don't want to go on IR. Oh, okay, cool. It's almost like they're leaning on him to make the decision when the training staff and the coaches should be saying, especially after that Jaguars game, I would have been like, all right, you're going to go on IR and you need to get healthy. And that should have been the end of the story. But now, I mean, look, he's past his IR weeks. The IR puts him out for 4 weeks? So he would have already been back, or that would have ended by now. But still, he's not 100%, and they keep running him out there. It looked like the picture that Cam Inman posted that he was being, he was the, what do you call it?
Scout team.
He was scout team, exactly. And so it's like they feel confident enough in him be out there to be the scout team quarterback. So when is this guy going to be able to actually take the field as a Niners starter?
I mean, tell me if you agree, but when I see him out there looking healthy to my untrained eye and then actually leading the scout team, looks like he's healthy. Looks like he's benched. That's what it looks like. It looks like they benched him. It looks like they said, you know what? You really sucked against Jacksonville and Max rolling. And when we bring you back, you might be rusty. And we don't need to go through that because Max playing well. So you know what? We'll let you know when you're going to start next. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what it looks like.
I mean, look, I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan. I mean, I love what he's done for the Niners, but you know, it's hard to say because when you're paying a guy $53 million a year, you're like, hey, that should be our difference maker. That's the guy that, like, hey, if he's healthy enough to go, he's going to get in the game. He's going to make a huge difference. But it seems like they're continually holding him out, saying, well, he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. And I get the idea of like, hey, he's got to be 100% in order to be effective. But there comes a point where you say, well, how long is long enough? I mean, right now on my show, I was predicting that he's probably going to come back against the Panthers. I don't think he comes back this week because why would you want to bring him back against the Rams, who have an elite pass rush and they're a really good team, and you're going to bring him back in a divisional matchup, a pivotal divisional matchup? Probably not. You're going to go with the guy who's been the starter for the majority of the season in Mac Jones. But I think if you're going to bring him back, probably not against Arizona because Arizona's got a pass rush now. They got Walter Nolan back. I would think the Panthers would be the game in which you say, okay, if we're going to bring him back, let's do it then.
I don't think they're going to bring him back this year. I think that this year is getting weird. The longer he stays out, the harder it is to bring him back because he's rusty. He's been out. And if Mac Jones were losing and struggling, then of course. But that's not the case. The team is winning, not because of Mac Jones, but he's not costing them games. He's healthy, and they have a rhythm. They believe in him. So it just seems easier to stick with this. And you can figure it out next year, like what to do at quarterback. But this year, as long as they keep winning, it's just easy to say Brock's just not quite healthy right now.
But is it because it's Brock? I mean, let me ask you this. If your quarterback, instead of Brock Purdy, if it was like Baker Mayfield, if it was Jared Goff, do you think he'd be back in the game already? Do you think he'd be a starter, that he'd be back from injury already?
I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know how injured he is. It's possible that he's just as injured as Joe Burrow, but instead of him having surgery, like both he and the Niners wanted to sort of control the narrative here, which the Niners are always about. Like, instead of, because you put him on IR, then all we talk about for 2 months is, boy, what a terrible contract. And the Niners really mismanaged this. And can you freaking believe that he's already injured? But now, instead of that, it's like, well, we don't really know what's happening. And I saw him on the field and he looked okay. And they say he's coming back soon. So I'm going to reserve judgment and not really say anything. Like, they're doing a good job of controlling the discourse around the injury and the team. Maybe that's what they want to do. Because it doesn't seem like.
Do you think it's worse than it really is?
Closer. What's that?
Do you think his injury is worse than they're really reporting? Do you think it's something that's a little more devastating than they're letting on?
I mean, they're saying I just don't know what to think, man. I mean, he's not a full participant in practice, but he's been limited. It's like, usually if a guy's limited in practice, right, he's going to be playing that weekend or the weekend after. it usually means like he's about to come back. Ricky isn't limited. Ricky cannot practice, which is strange because this is what I see from Ricky on a day-to-day basis. Sprinting on the side of the field, running routes, like looking like he's just about to come back. And then in the locker room, they have a hoop, and a lot of players like to shoot. He's shooting jumpers. He's getting air. So I'm not saying that he's like being, negligent. He just looks healthy to me, but he can't practice at all. I don't understand that.
That's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Purdy, he's been limited for like 4 weeks. And I think that's why a lot of people feel like, well, next week he's coming back. He'll be back against the Cardinals. A lot of people felt he'd be back against the Rams, right? A couple weeks ago. No.
Yeah.
Hold him out. You don't want him on that Met. That's what people said last week. You don't want him on that MetLife turf. He's probably ready to come back right now. Hold him off for that Rams game. And then it's Rams week. Is Brock coming back? Absolutely not. Not even, no closer to coming back. They say he is, but nothing's changed. So I don't know what to make of it, Dre. I really don't.
It's really odd. And in the whole situation, it's a cloak and dagger. Like you have to read between the lines to figure out what's really going on. And that's the part that's kind of frustrating because it's kind of like, hey, look, if it's really bad, just be honest with us about how the severity of his injury, because this is going on for a long time. And now the only time we got to see him recently was week 4 against the Jags, and he looked awful. Probably because he was not healthy enough to even be out there. But then there was that narrative of well, he was healthier than Mac. That's why he was out there.
That's what Kyle said.
Right. But then we find out that, he wasn't healthier than Mac. He made the call saying, I want to come back. I think I'm good to go. And then realized probably within the first few plays, like, oh, shit, I'm nowhere near ready to come back because he looked awful. I'm sorry. Some of those throws were they were sailing high, they were inaccurate, and that's not how Brock usually plays.
But what did Kyle say after that? He said, we thought he looked fine. He practiced. He was a full participant in practice. We cleared him. We thought he was fine. Then he played and was awful even after the game. We were like, so that was really bad performance. Do you think the toe affected him? And Kyle was like, I don't know. We have to talk to him. So he wasn't willing to admit that the toe was a factor even afterward. And then they changed their story the next day. They were like, the toe was a huge factor. And not only that, he re-injured the toe. And not only that, he's going to be out for a while. So it seems to me that from Kyle's perspective, look, man, you fooled me once in practice. I thought you were ready. I thought you were good to go. You went out there and you cost us a game with 3 turnovers. So how can I trust my eyes now? So one, I'm never going to really know if you're healthy. You'll have to tell me. 2, you got to remember, man, Mac was like Kyle's first love. Kyle spotted Mac. No one set him up. It wasn't like a blind date. No one set him up. It wasn't like a friend saying you got to meet this person. Like Kyle spotted Mac from across the room. Their eyes locked. It was special. It was just between them. You know what I mean? And then people got in the way, and they haven't been able to, come together the way that they were destined to. And it's finally happening. And I think it feels good for both of them. I think they're bringing out the best in each other. And I'm serious. It's been great with Brock, and Brock was great. But it wasn't Kyle's guy. Kyle didn't handpick him. He was the savior that sort of saved everything. But was it sustainable? Was it sustainable, or was he Cinderella? He was great, but he's had injuries and he's had a tough time staying on the field. And if it's not his elbow, it's his this, it is that. Max seems to be at least durable, and how Kyle feels about him. So I guess I'm not surprised that it's going this way right now.
Well, I think there's a reason why Kyle Shanahan, why the team acquired Mac Jones, because he wanted a capable backup quarterback like he had with Sam Darnold. And so did he think that Brock was going to get hurt this year and be out for this long? No. But when he had his choice on who can we get as a backup, I think Mac Jones definitely appealed to Kyle Shanahan. He said, hey, look, this is the guy I wanted to draft. This is the guy I wanted to draft over Trey Lance. And we saw what happened to Trey Lance. I mean, the guy's still, unfortunately, he's still a journeyman. He hasn't gotten a chance to be at starter, where, I think he's in San Diego. But looking at Mac Jones, I mean, he's got 10 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. At this point, he has more interceptions than Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy's only played in 2 games, but he has 4. That's another thing that's a little scary about Brock is that the number of interceptions that he has in his last 12 starts, 14 starts. It's a little alarming. But my point is this: I think Mac Jones has done a great job. He's been a very suitable quarterback, but I don't see that dynamic ability from Mac Jones that tells me, hey, this is the guy you want to lock up long term. I think this is the guy that's going to get it done this season if Brock can't come back. But he's still limited in his mobility. He's still limited in some of his reads, but he's got a very strong arm. He's got a pretty accurate arm as well. And I think, to me, this feels more like a Jimmy Garoppolo type offense, but with a stronger arm. And I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think he's playing a higher level of what they were trying to do back in 2019.
Yeah, I'd love to see Brock with, I'd love to see Mac with like Ricky Pearsall for a month. I'd love to see Mac with Brandon Ayuk. I feel like we saw Mac in college with some serious premium burners on the outside.
He was big time in Alabama.
National championship. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get into some trade talk in a minute, but first I want to say that this year's quarterback controversy is brought to you by Mint Mobile. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Ditch overpriced wireless and their jaw-dropping monthly bills. Plans start at $15 a month at Mint. Make the switch at mintmobile.com/Cohn. That's mintmobile.com/COHN. Upfront payment of $45 required. It's the equivalent of $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. I think about the Niners is that there always is going to be a quarterback controversy. And I think that it should be sponsored because it's an institution as much as the team. People have been arguing Niners quarterbacks who should start from the Steve Young, Joe Montana days. There was the Alex Smith, Sean Hill debates, and Brian Hoyer, CJ Beathard. And then we're just keeping it going. So look, we got another quarterback controversy staring us in the face this offseason. It's not a controversy yet because Brock is hurt and they can just avoid the whole topic. But this offseason, the Niners are going to have to figure something out. And I think a lot of people are looking at Mac saying, you know what, this is great. He plays well. Maybe he goes to the playoffs. Maybe wins a playoff game. Imagine what they could trade Mac for. Do you think the 49ers will trade Mac Jones this offseason?
No, I don't. I don't because I think they see how valuable he is as their backup quarterback, especially if he ends up taking over for Brock Purdy, which, look, like I said, I'm a Brock Purdy fan, but there's a chance that they ride Mac Jones out the rest of the season, especially if Brock can't get healthy. So I think the value that he brings to the roster is something that they cannot part with. But if they did trade Mac Jones, I think next in line to be his successor, probably Kyler Murray, probably maybe could be Jacoby Brissett. It's going to be that quarterback that never really got a shot, but always, had the potential. I think that's who they're going to look for next time if they move off of Mac Jones.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to move off of Mac Jones either for a lot of reasons. One, even if they wanted to stick with Brock Purdy as their franchise quarterback starter, which they might, he has shown that he misses time. He's missing a lot of time this year. He missed time last year. He had the elbow injury. He's a smaller quarterback. Just staying on the field's an issue for him. So you have to have a really good quarterback. Otherwise, your whole season could fall. Backup quarterback. Otherwise, your whole season could fall apart. So replacing Mac isn't easy. Kyler Murray, what Mac Jones is like a system quarterback. And I mean that in the best possible way. He really fits Kyle Shanahan's system and allows Kyle's system to be the star. And that's so not Kyler Murray. It's really not even Brock as well. It used to be Brock, but Brock has become this scramble around playmaker, go off script guy, which is fun, but it's not exactly what Mac Jones is, and it's not what Matt Ryan was, and it's not what Kyle Shanahan tends to want. So if you're replacing Mac, you're looking for another system quarterback like Sam Darnold. Maybe he finds that guy. Maybe it's Curtis Rourke. Maybe not, though. And the fact that you have Mac Jones for $4 million, it's hard to beat that. Now, if you did want to trade him, teams would be interested. I think the Minnesota Vikings would probably like him. we'll see what happens with JJ McCarthy. He's got a lot to prove, but if he doesn't work out, they don't have a lot of time to waste. I could see a team like Minnesota trading a second-round pick for Mac Jones if the Niners were interested.
But the question is, too, is that, like, let's say you want to stick with Mac Jones and you want to trade Brock Purdy. What is his value in the open market? Yeah, he's got a fat contract attached to him, but he's been hurt all year. Has he proven enough to the rest of the league that, hey, look, that's a guy that I want to bring onto my roster because I think he could do a lot with what we got? I don't know if Brock is that guy. And like I said, he's done some amazing things. He had a great 2023 season. He had an okay 2024 season, still threw for 20 touchdowns last year, but 31 in 2023. So we know that, like, if there's talent around him, he can produce. Do you think that Brock would be a high value target for a trade if they were to move him in the offseason?
I think someone would be interested in him. But I'm going to save that for a second. I don't want to go to that topic just yet. Okay, I like that topic, though. We're teasing that topic. But before we go there, I want to stick with Mac for a second because both of us think that the Niners are going to stick with him. But I do think, like, he's interesting. So he's making $4 million a year. He's signed through next year. What would the market be for Mac financially? Like, is it one of these situations where, okay, you like Mac, but if you trade Brock and make Mac the starter, then pretty soon you'd have to give Mac $50 million a year? Or would his past work against him? He's a little bit older. Maybe he'd be in that, like, Sam Darnold range of, like, 2-3 years, 30-something million a year. And the fact that Sam Darnold is, like, in the MVP conversation, the fact that he's been so good for two different teams since leaving Kyle, I feel like that makes Mac Jones more desirable. Like, a lot of teams want the next Sam Darnold, and the next Sam Darnold might be Mac Jones.
Well, I think definitely Mac Jones is gaining value each and every week. I mean, we saw what Sam Darnold got. He only played in a handful of games with the Niners, and then he got signed by the Vikings. So I think Mac Jones, being a former first-round talent, had big numbers out of Alabama, he would garner a lot of value in the open market, especially if you're going to trade him. I think teams would definitely give up quite a bit to get him.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about Darnold, too, like, when he came to the Niners, no one took him seriously, including me. When he went to the Vikings, no one took him seriously, including the Vikings. Like, he go 14-3, had like 35 touchdown passes, blows it in the final two games, and the Vikings are like, yeah, everyone was right about you. You got to go.
Pretty much, dude.
Right? Like, yeah, you turned into a pumpkin, you suck.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Seattle, and now it's like, oh shit, like, last year wasn't a mirage. He's really good. That's like the best signing of the offseason. And I think it kind of changes the way people look at quarterbacks. Like, you can't write off these guys too young. And when they do break out at 26, 27, maybe put some stock in it. And I think that's essentially what Mac Jones is doing right now. Now, I think a lot of other teams could look at that and say, could we necessarily have more success with him than the Niners are? That being said, it's not like the Niners are super explosive with a ton of playmakers right now. You put Mac Jones on the Vikings and gave him Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, he'd probably look pretty good.
I mean, but Sam Darnold, I mean, the Seahawks don't have, like, this explosive offense. Yeah, they got Smith and Jigba.
They got that one wide receiver who's nice.
But they're not loaded with, like, all these crazy guys. And he's thrown for, over 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. He has a quarterback rating of 116. It's him. And now, look, and I hear fans saying, like, oh, we should never got rid of Sam Darnold. Well, we don't know what he would have became if he would have stayed here. But I think coming here definitely helped Sam Darnold in his progression and his development just by being here, being around Kyle Shanahan, being around this offense and this coaching staff.
I also think that, like, for years, teams would convince themselves, like, hey, man, if you have a quarterback you like, you got to make him one of the highest paid players in the league when it's time to give him an extension. Like, it's either have a guy on a rookie deal or have a guy at the top of the market. And I think that's a big reason why the Niners signed Brock. They're like, this is the price to do. You have to do this in the NFL. There's really no middle ground, but there is a middle ground. It's this Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold contract. And I think it's good as more quarterbacks succeed at that price point and teams win with quarterbacks at that price point. Teams like the Niners and the Jaguars and the Dolphins will be envious and feel like, we want that. I mean, why are we spending all this money for what are we getting for spending an extra $20 million a year? More production? Not necessarily.
Well, look, when it comes to Mac Jones, right? Like I said, he's done a great job as a starter. he's had his turnovers. He's had his strip sacks, because he's not very
He's
mobile.
Not an elite quarterback.
He's not an elite.
He's not an elite quarterback.
But I think for this season, he's doing a great job. And he's a guy that I would keep around. Obviously, in the next season, he signs a 2-year contract. But my thing is that, even if they move Brock, let's just say they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to move off of him and we're going to go with Mac. I don't know if Mac Jones says, okay, cool, I'll just play the second year of my contract and everything's all good. He might say, okay, hold on. If you're going to get rid of Brock Purdy, then I'm going to hold out. And you guys got to give me a bigger contract. I don't care if it's a 1-year or 2-year deal, but I want more money if I'm going to be your starter moving forward. And that's something that we have to take into account. Like, hey, if he does stay, if you move off of Brock Purdy, you're probably going to end up paying him more money because he's going to demand it. His agent isn't going to be like, hey, just stand pat for 1 more year. You might tear your ACL. Who knows? But it's going to be great. No, he's going to say, no, if they're going to go with you as a starter, we need more money. And so then again, now you're back in the same situation. He'll probably demand something like $25 million a year, and they'll give him a 1 to 2 year deal. Who knows? I'm just spitballing.
You might like that though. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you want to raise? Cool. How about a 3-year, $90 million contract? And now we're locked into that middle class quarterback deal, which is not a bad place to be. He fits your system. He's a veteran. You don't have to develop him at all.
Well, you don't.
Anyway, and of course, he wouldn't play for $4 million a year if he was your starter. That's a great point.
Right.
But he wouldn't demand $53 million a year either. So look, let's go right there. You brought it up. It's time to talk about it. Is it possible the 49ers would trade Brock Purdy this offseason? Let's say Mac Jones takes the team to the playoffs, wins a playoff game, shows the team that they don't need to spend $53 million a year, to have winning quarterback play for this team. There's teams that need quarterbacks. The Jets come to mind. If a team calls the Niners and said, look, you got a quarterback problem, we'll fix that problem for you. We will trade you 2 seconds for Brock Purdy and take that contract off your hands. Any world where that happens?
I think it's possible for 2 seconds. But they're so locked into Brock with his contract. I just don't think they're going to move him. I really don't. And, they have nothing but good things to say about Brock Purdy. Obviously, look, is he limited by some of his abilities? Yes. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not the biggest guy out there. But he does have the intangibles that a lot of quarterbacks who are really, really good don't have. And we've seen what he's done in the NFC title game, in the playoffs, where he balls out and he makes passes that you didn't even know he could make. So
and runs too. Like his scrambles are huge. Yeah, like those are things you don't get from Mac.
Now, last season he did run a lot more because I think that he had less weapons on offense. But see, that's something that he has to mature into. He can't be a guy where he's like, well, I don't have Ayuk, I don't have this guy. Fuck it, I'm going to run because I can't find anybody. The great quarterbacks, they win with no matter who the fuck is running the routes. You look at Tom Brady. I'm talking about Tom Brady here, but you look at Tom Brady. He never, besides Randy Moss that one year, he never had top flight receivers. He was just like, get to your spot. I'm going to throw you the ball. And that's what Brock needs to be.
And you look at Mac Jones this year. Like, I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, but he's doing this without prime Ayuk, prime McCaffrey, prime Kittle, prime Debo. I mean, he's doing it with the backups, which is why his story is impressive, even if his numbers aren't off the charts.
But I mean, Mac Jones, I do agree with you by saying that when the Niners made that move and they drafted Trey Lance, a part of me thought, well, why are we getting an athletic running quarterback when that's not a quarterback that he's really ever had? And even when he had RG3, he preferred Kirk Cousins over RG3. Right. So it was like, why are we doing this for?
And when you hired him, like, weren't you trying to didn't you want that Atlanta Falcons offense? Like, isn't that what you were trying to hire?
And then you look at Mac Jones, and he kind of fits that bill. He's a pocket quarterback. He's got a strong arm. He's tall. He has
a little bit of a Matt Ryan impression.
He can, but here's my thing though: is that this is what year 5 for Mac Jones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is year 5 of Mac Jones. I'm looking at it right now. He got drafted in 21.
Yeah.
So this is his 5th year, and he played with the Patriots for 3 years and the Jags for 1 year. All of them were bad teams. Yeah. But imagine if we would have drafted him, if this was his rookie year, I think we'd be like, hey, this guy's going to be good. Like, I'm sold. But this is his 5th year.
Right.
So do I see a lot of good things from Mac Jones? Yeah. I'm like, hey, this is great. He's a tough guy. He plays through injury. That game in which he was writhing in pain and keeping himself out on the field is against the Rams, I want to say.
That win was one of the most impressive regular season wins I can remember from a Niners quarterback.
That was a locker room winning game where they were like, dude, we fucking love this guy. Like, this guy was out there suffering.
We should not have won this game.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee we win it with Brock. Like, we just pulled a rabbit out of the freaking hat. And like, how did Mac do that?
Well, the defense played a huge part of that. And then the second half, they kind of started to fall apart. But that's the whole thing, though, is that, he's done things that has proven to the rest of the roster, like, hey, no matter what's going on, no matter how much pain I'm in, I'm not going to quit on you guys. And that's a great thing. Now, I'm not saying Brock is on the opposite, but Brock has been out. And believe me, I want to see Brock out there. I want to see Brock out there and winning games. But the longer he goes out, the harder it is to go back to Brock Purdy if Mac Jones keeps winning.
I got a point for you. So we're all in the dark about Brock Purdy's toe, right? We see him at practice. He looks okay, and we don't understand why he's not playing. You don't think the players feel that way? I mean, you really think Brock's going to every player locker for locker and being like, look, this is exactly what's going on with my toe right now. I know you have questions. So let me just answer any questions you have. And here's what it's like. I bet the coaches wonder, like, how much does that toe really? It's a toe. It's a fucking toe. Like, how? And I'm sure it's excruciating, but I would bet that a lot of people wonder. And with Mac, you don't have to wonder, like, is he in pain? Yeah, I'm sure he's in pain. He has like 8 injuries. But all I know is that he's on the field, throwing passes, winning games. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going around to hit to everybody, but I think like in any workplace environment, when you're working around a lot of different coworkers, because essentially that's what they are, they're coworkers to each other, a handful of people know the truth. And then another handful of people know part of the truth. And then it keeps going and going and going until the players are like, yeah, I heard like his toe is like ready to fall off. And the other guy's saying, nah, man, I heard his toe is fine. He wants to be sure. He's got that, dude, he got that bag. So now he wants to be certain that he's not going to hurt himself again. There's so many things running around, and that's how stories get all convoluted. But there needs to be an upfront. I mean, look, from the start, what did Kyle say? He said, it's a turf toe variant. Like, variant?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
What does that mean? And everybody, all the media, I think you were even there. You guys were like, what does that mean? Turf toe variant? Why can't you just say he has turf toe and he'll be out this many weeks? Just definitive.
I just feel like he wants to control the discourse. I think the Niners want to control the discourse. I think they do it better than most teams. And the way they're doing it now is like no content creator, no radio person can go on their show and say, this is definitively what's happening with Brock Purdy. And here's my opinion. We're all like, I don't know. Is he going to play this week? Maybe. So I can't really like come down with a strong take one way or another about this. I still have to wait and see how it plays out, which is, I think, what the 49ers want. They know what's going on. They don't want us to know what's going on.
I mean, you look at the Bengals right off the bat. He's got turf toe. He's going to be out 6 to 7 weeks.
What team is worse than the Bengals at controlling discourse? Everyone makes fun of the Bengals, and they know it, and they don't do anything about it. The Browns are like that. The Jets are like. The Niners are not like that.
They're not. And they're not. It's almost like, and this sounds very, very menacing, but it's almost like Kyle loves that. He's like, you know what? Don't tell them that. I'll let them know what I want them to know. What's wrong with Brock? It's a turf toe variant. So
think about this though. If Mac were hurt, if Mac sucked, and this team were losing, do you understand how much criticism Kyle Shanahan would be getting for bringing Brock back too early? It'd be all his fault. And people would point to that one decision as ruining the season. He'd be on the hot seat. Like, oh yeah, it'd be like rough. This. And right now, everyone's like, don't care. Brock, good luck. Take your time. We like Mac. Not only is he a good quarterback, but he is a swell guy. And he's a chill guy. Like,
great personality.
We like this guy.
He's funny as hell. But I mean, do you think there's a part of Kyle Shanahan deep down inside that is like, there's a part of him that's just kind of saying to himself, like, you know what? This is what I could have had back in 21.
This is what I wanted. And people told me I was wrong.
Even though he's like, hey,
you told
Brock,
me I was wrong.
Brock, we want to get you back. I want to get Brock back. But then deep down inside, he's like, but I really want to to see how he does against the Rams. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see how Mac does against the Cardinals.
Use like relationship metaphors. It just feels like Kyle discovered Mac, and like maybe like they met at summer camp, and then he came back and tried to tell his friends, and they were like, "Nah, man, she's all wrong for you, man. She's from another. She goes to a different high school, and it's all wrong for you." And he like succumbed to the peer pressure. And Brock's great, Brock's great, but Brock's a stiff. And Brock and Kyle aren't necessarily on the same page all the time because Kyle's very controlling, and Brock goes off script. And it just seems like for whatever reason, Kyle and Mac have chemistry. They just get each other. They work well together.
There's definitely a difference between Brock Purdy and Mac Jones.
Yes.
Mac has this way about himself where he's funny. He's very just sort of
self-deprecating.
Yeah, he's very
take things too seriously.
He's very relatable. For the average fan, they can relate to Mac Jones, his personality. I mean, how many times have we seen him, at the press conference being like, I guess you could do that. He'll just start laughing, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Brock is much more composed. He's much more,
serious, straight-laced.
And so they're very different, but still, I think a part of Kyle is saying,
a factor. We got to talk about the money. People don't want to talk about the money, but like in life, it is like it's easy to like Brock when he's the lowest paid player on the team. Even from a teammate perspective, oh, Brock, man, what a great kid. Wow, look what he's doing for $900K. Love him. And then he makes $53 million a year. It's easy to be like, who does he think he is all of a sudden? He's not playing. Like maybe he didn't even change, right? But your perception did. It's easy to be resentful for the guy who's making 20 times more than you. And then someone else comes in the building making less than you, and he's like a jokester. It's like, you know what? That's my new best friend. Funny how that just happened.
I mean, it could be the case, but look, they're both different. I love Mac's personality. Like I say, he's very relatable. But I think at the end of the day, when Brock is healthy, they have to make a hard decision on, do we put him back in or do we roll with Mac Jones the rest of the season? And it's going to be hard to say because for me, the later it goes into the season, the harder it is to say, okay, Mac, thank you for all your help. We're going to go with Brock's back. I mean, but at the same time, though, Mac has said all the right things. Mac even said, this is Brock's team. I'm the backup. I'm just here to win games. But still, you can say all the right things. But as a head coach, when do you say, okay,
if they're 9-4 at the bye week, at the bye week, why do you go to Brock?
Because you're paying him $53 million. He should be the difference maker. But isn't
right, but you're like, if you go back to him, you don't know what's going to happen. You could mess it up and it could look worse. And then you create a quarterback controversy. You can avoid all of that by saying that his toe still hurts. There is no you're not forced to make the switch. And I feel like to your point, the longer this goes, the harder it is to make the switch. Like what if Mac goes the rest of the season, they make the playoffs, and then Brock says he's healthy and he wants to start the playoff game? Do you go to Brock? Even though he hasn't played since week 4 and Mac got you to the playoffs? Like, no, you don't. No. It doesn't matter that you feel good. Sorry, it's been too long. We'll see you next year, maybe.
If you get to the playoffs and he's like, okay, I'm ready for week 1, the playoffs, wild card round or divisional round, I would have a hard time saying, okay, let's go. You haven't played in like 10 weeks, or even longer, but we're going to throw you in the most important game of the year. No, I don't. I think you have to go with Mac if he's gotten you there because he already has a familiarity, the timing. He's put in the reps with the first team. To swap them out that late, to me, makes zero sense. 0 cents. You have to get you have to get Brock back no later, in my opinion, than the Carolina game.
So again, the question was, are the Niners going to trade Brock Purdy in the offseason? I think there's a legit chance if Mac keeps this up for a lot of reasons. 1, Mac was Kyle's first choice. He was his first love. 2, no one really wants to spend $53 million a year on a quarterback if you don't have to. 3, the Niners may not have to anymore if Mac Jones shows he can do the job. So if a team's interested and the Niners have another option, I could see them, offloading him to the Jets to get rid of that contract. I mean, it's not like the Yorks really want to spend that money if they don't have to. So I could see it happening, but it would take a team like the Jets to step up and offer something.
Right.
Yeah.
Real quick. Let me ask you one question. Do you think it's a better idea if you're going to bring Brock back? Let's say even Jed York is like, let's say you're Kyle Shanahan, right? Imagine Grant as Kyle Shanahan. Imagine if Jed's like, hey, I don't give a fuck how good you're playing. I want him back out there. We're paying him a whole bunch of money. He's got to prove this contract. Okay. Do you bring him back against Carolina at home on Monday night? Or do you bring him back after the bye week?
Cleveland? I'd wait until after the bye week.
Against Tennessee.
The game's going to be tough. That's a good defense. It could be raining. And he lost to the freaking Browns 2 years ago when the Niners were stacked. So
they did. I mean, what's his name? Jake Moody helped out with that one. But
really, are you going to make a quarterback change in early December?
That's what I'm saying. That's really, really late. And like I said, I love Brock. I'm a Brock fan, but like in terms of the continuity with the team, it just seems really late to say, okay, now we're going back to Brock. Now, here's the question though. If this was, let's say, Josh Allen, if this was a
this is exactly what I wanted to say.
You'd probably say, hey, you got to get him back in there.
Maybe not. Look, here's what I'm saying. Look at Cincinnati. The same thing's happening in Cincinnati, okay? Same injury. Burrow is looked at as like so much better than Brock Purdy. But Burrow goes down, old-ass Flacco goes in there, and he's throwing for like 350 a game, man. He's throwing like 3 touchdowns a game. Now, their defense still sucks, but he's balling. And I think they're in the same position. Like Burrow at some point will come back, but if Flacco puts you in position to go to the playoffs and he's balling and you're winning, then even for Joe Burrow, I think you stick with the hot hand, as crazy as that sounds.
That's why I'm trying to think
I think that puts perspective on this situation. It's not just a Brock thing. It's not just a Brock thing. It's a football thing. If one guy takes you this far, there's really no reason to change. Even though like Brock's sexier than Mac, like Joe's sexy, like Burrow's sexier than Flacco. All right, well, we can always go back to you when we need you. But for right now, we're going to go with the non-sexy quarterback.
I like Alex's comment, trade Brock for Joe Burrow. Yeah, the Bengals would be like, let's do it.
Yeah. I do love Joe Burrow. I love his story, his whole career.
Really he's really good.
And you could argue that he's like a borderline Hall of Fame player in this. I mean, he doesn't have a Hall of Fame career, but was Eli Manning a better quarterback than Joe? Every time Joe gets an opportunity, a receiver, he kills it. And the one time he really got benched was for Lamar Jackson, which is like no shame in that. He's a great player. He's not as good as Lamar Jackson.
Eli Manning was, you put me in a clutch situation, I'm going to win.
Eli.
I don't care who I have. I'm going to win.
Flacco beat Tom Brady in the playoffs too. Am I wrong? Is this in the AFC Championship game?
He beat Colin Kaepernick in the playoffs.
Manning, he beat. Yeah, anyway. Joe Flacco put some respect.
That was rough.
Bill Kennedy says, keep Mac, dumb Brock, build the O-line with savings. Thanks, Bill. Sean says, I played football up to the arena level. In my opinion, the reason the players are getting hurt more frequently is that they aren't conditioned to play. ACLs, MCLs, and Achilles injuries were not as prevalent 25 years ago. Interesting, Sean. Thank you. I've talked to a lot of players and coaches about this. My hypothesis is that they're actually over-conditioned, that some of these players, like Ricky Pearsall, work out 12 months a year. Maybe they take 2 weeks off. And instead of playing like pickleball one day or golf or tennis, they're just hyper training the same movements, the same sport in ways that they didn't 40 years ago. I bet Jerry Rice played a lot of tennis in the off season, but, or something. I don't think players do stuff like that as much anymore. And I think I think you see it in basketball too. Like why are guys blowing out their Achilles at 25? Well, they've been playing this sport year round since they were 9. Just, I don't know. Saying, Sean, the game is also being played much differently. Also, the turf fucking sucks. Awestruck says the biggest quarterback controversy is Shanahan not drafting Mahomes. How much would the Niners get for Purdy? 2 seconds? Not a first. I don't think they get a first. Maybe late first?
I don't think it's a first. No, I
don't think it's a first.
I think 2 seconds, a second and a third. I just don't see a first because he wasn't the first round pick. And that's what they're going to use against him is that, hey, this guy was Mr. Irrelevant. You want me to give him a first round pick for him? Now you're going to get your
coming off an injury.
Pick? Yeah, no, I wouldn't. No.
Yeah. Double B Studio says, can't believe you're streaming with Eddie Pinero right now.
Woo!
He's a legend. Then he says, trade Purdy to the Rams for their medical staff.
Is it really the medical staff? I don't know. I mean, like Nick Bosa tore his ACL. Same with Michael Williams.
And again, like if you feel like you're rushing players back from injury, they're getting hurt in practice because practices are too aggressive. Is that because of the training staff or is that because of the coaching staff?
I don't know why they brought back Brock.
If a coaching staff said, hey, guys, we need Brock this week, they're going to say, all right, he's cleared. Most likely.
Yeah.
If you put it to him like that, Double B Studio says, or a fair quarterback competition, is it a risk for Kyle? It's a way to open up the discourse to chaos. If you want to control the discourse, you don't have a quarterback competition, because then if there's a quarterback competition, people come to my channel every week and I tell them who's winning. You know what I'm saying?
They really would. They'd be like, oh, this is what Grant's going to say. I hate his guts, but I want to see what he was going to say.
Who was better at practice today? I can't stand Grant, but I need to know.
So he was there. He was there.
I mean, that's what was happening in 2022 and 2023. There was no discourse control. And it was a great time to be a content creator, but the Niners have sort of put the kibosh on that, saying
that's what Jimmy did. Jimmy helped them out with that. They're like, okay, we learned from Jimmy.
Yes. And I do think that Brock's sort of going the way of Jimmy. They're different quarterbacks, but what essentially sunk Jimmy as a starting quarterback in the league wasn't the picks. It was the injuries. Maybe it was both. He threw a hell of a lot of picks with the Raiders.
The overthrown ball in the Super Bowl. You know, just things like that.
Things like that. Gajira Von Jinx says post June 1 trade is very doable. $8 million in dead cap, $32 million in dead cap before June 1st, according to Over the Cap. I think the Niners have shown that they don't really care about taking on dead cap hits. They did it a lot this year.
They don't.
Yeah, there's a big difference between dead cap and money, and this trade would save them cash. Josh Wyatt says, I wish this injury wasn't called turf toe. I've had the injury. It's excruciating and it refuses to heal. And I was just a guy trying to walk up some stairs. Brock won't be healthy this year.
Probably not.
Hope he's healthy at some point in his, career. Hope that Kyle and the Niners didn't mess that up, because, he's messed up careers in the past. We all know. Hope he didn't do it again. John Chisari says the better Mac plays, the more trade value he has if Brock is the guy. Best case scenario for Niners, Mac balls out, keeps team winning games. Sure. Double B Studio says Kyle would have broke Mahomes. LOL. He can't develop. Okay. With that in mind, is anyone in this organization on the hot seat? They're 6-3, 10-7, probably gets them to the playoffs, which means they need to go 4-4 the rest of the way, which is doable.
Very doable.
But they haven't done it yet. If they somehow miss the playoffs, does someone get replaced?
John Lynch, I think, gets replaced. Or he's either going to get fired.
He gets promoted.
Or promoted to be the general manager and like, here, go be the face of the franchise. Let's bring in somebody as close as we can get to Howie Roseman. But I think that if the Niners don't make the playoffs, or if the Niners make the playoffs and get blown out, total lopsided loss, I think he's gone. Because the fact that, look, he didn't make a move at the trade deadline. We already heard rumors that people in the building were pissed. I'm sure the players were pissed. They were like, dude, we didn't get anybody? We're hurting over here, man. This is ridiculous. And the ownership in front office is probably saying, hey, look, man, you had a good run. I like John Lynch, but I'm not paying John Lynch. If I'm paying John Lynch and I'm managing John Lynch as a front office, I start to get upset after a while saying, hey, look, you've been to 2 Super Bowls. You lost both of them. You got us there. You haven't won the big game, and this season, like last season, was a letdown. So I think he would be on the hot seat, not Kyle Shanahan.
I agree with you on this one, and I think it's tricky because there's a reason they hired John Lynch in the first place. They wanted a guy who would let Kyle Shanahan have a ton of say on personnel. Not a lot of GMs will do that. So Lynch was cool with that. They also wanted a guy who would let Parag Marathe have the final say on contracts. A lot of GMs wouldn't be cool with that, but Lynch is, because he doesn't really have any background or expertise in this. He's just a former player who is trusting his intuition and his ability to ask the right people for the right help.
Right.
So if you replace him, can you just get the number 2 guy with the Eagles or the Chiefs or the Rams and say, do whatever you want? Is Kyle okay with that? Is Parag okay with that? I don't think so. But what they could do is promote Lynch or let him go back to being a announcer and then promote someone from within their own organization. What they could say is like, look, we lost Adam Peters. We've been getting poached. We have a good front office, which we're not really fully utilizing. The next guy in line is, what's his name? Josh. What's his name? Josh Williams? Forget his name. But he's the next guy up.
Yeah.
Or RJ Gillen. If someone from the Niners front office, Tariq Ahmad, gets interest somewhere else and they feel they're going to lose him, they could say, well, this guy really is a scout. This guy is responsible for some of our best draft picks. We're going to make him the new general manager, promote him, promote John to something where he's far away from personnel. And that way Parag and Kyle can still sort of stay in control. I could see that happening. I don't know if it would necessarily fix things. That's why if you're going to fire John, I think you got to bring in someone from a different organization that has won a Super Bowl and say like, Parag, Kyle, you guys have too much freaking power and swallow your pride a little bit. And let's bring it. It's a copycat league. So we're going to copy a team that's done it.
You know what they're going to do? If they move off of John Lynch, or they promote or fire or whatever they do, they move off of John Lynch. How much you want to bet? They would reach out to Howie Roseman and be like, hey, we'll pay you more than you're getting paid the Eagles if you come over here. And he'll say no. He'll be like, no, I'm just going to stay here. And then they'll go find someone who's just like him. Because look what they did with Bill Belichick. They fired Steve Wilkes and they said, hey, Bill, you want to come over? And he was like, nah, I don't want to. He was like, oh, shit.
But that's different, though, because it's like, wouldn't it be cool from Kyle's perspective? Wouldn't it be cool to have Bill as my assistant coach? Like, that would be such an ego boost. But to bring in...
They're doing that this year with Robert Saleh there. You're going against two head coaches.
That's true. But what I'm trying to say is like, this is a very arrogant organization. They've lost Super Bowls and they act like they know what it takes to win Super Bowls. They act like they've had the Super Bowl winning formula for years and they need to just keep it together because, injuries and bad luck have been the only real hurdle in their way, which is bullshit. And if they were to fire John Lynch and bring in the number 2 guy from a team like the Rams or the Chiefs or the Eagles, it would be an admission that all that shit was coping and that they don't know what it takes. And they need to, like, if you can't beat them, join them sort of a situation, which is what they need to do. It would be like actual, what would you call it? Like growth,
self-reflection. The thing too is that like you didn't make a move because you're like, well, we covered our picks, we want to hang on to our draft picks, but you haven't proven that you can draft effectively.
Good at drafting. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that's why some of these trades, I'm like, hey, maybe you do give up a second rounder for what's his name from the Eagles. I mean the Jets, because it's like, hey, look, who am I going to get in the second round? That's better than him. Then what's his name?
At least we know exactly who he is, man. You take people in the second round, and I don't know. They've drafted guys in rounds 1, 2, and 3 who are not NFL players. You spent a third round pick on a kicker on a practice squad right now.
Moody.
You throw these picks away. At least if you trade them for Jalen Phillips, you're not throwing the pick away.
If you look at their draft picks over the past 5 years, there's a plethora of names that you're like, bad pick, bad pick, bad pick, bad pick, bad pick, because they didn't do anything. What's his name? Ty Davis-Price? Where is he now? Nowhere.
Yep.
What's his name?
Even the good ones. Even the good ones. Brandon Ayuk. Where is he? Ricky Pearsall.
We know where he's at. He's hurt. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, and like it's a brutal game, but like even their good ones aren't here. It's rough. Yeah. So yeah, I think they're probably not going to fire Kyle Shanahan. Probably not.
No. Never.
So I've been very critical of him, but like if he was right about Sam Darnold, if he's right about Mac Jones, if he has a future with Mac Jones, then roll with it. If he's the reason Robert Saleh's here, then roll with it. But if they miss the playoffs, someone's got to go. And I think it's easy to point to the general manager. In addition, it'd be nice to bring in a general manager that actually fucking cared about the offensive line. Because as long as Kyle's calling the shots, this offensive line is going to be the weakness of the team. I don't think you can win a Super Bowl that way. There's a lot of reasons they haven't won a Super Bowl. That's one of them.
Connor Colby was absolute garbage for weeks, and there was I was just like, there's no other option. The first game he played, I was like, hey, this guy looks great. And after that, it was just like a mess. And other teams were targeting Connor Colby as a way of getting to the quarterback. Hey, target him because he's their weak spot. Well, now he's gone, and Spencer Burford came back, and they look so much better. And they're going against a Giants defensive line that specializes in pass rush. You have Brian Burns, you have Thibodeau, there's another guy over there. So that's their thing. They're like, hey, we want to make you throw the ball because that's what we're good at. We're good at pass rush. And the Niners neutralized that pass rush, which was great. Are they going to do it this week? Well, we'll find out. Jake Brennan's coming back, so.
Yeah, he is. MVix Media says dump Brock's contract just to pay Mac.
Then what's the point of that? Then you're like, oh, we dumped Brock, but now we're paying Mac all this money. And again, is Mac the quarterback you look at and say, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to put us over the top? I don't think so. I think he's good and serviceable and does a great job, but he's not that guy. He's not Matt Stafford. And I don't know.
No.
Has he hit his ceiling? Or do you think
but
there's
neither
still more?
Is Brock, in my opinion. And so what I would say is the reason to trade Brock wouldn't be to turn around and give Mac Jones $53 million a year. Like, absolutely freaking don't do that. What you would do is turn around and give Brock give Mac a 2-year extension, maybe a 3-year extension. You could give him the 3-year, $100 million extension, which isn't really 100, and you can get out of it after 2 years. It's that middle ground contract. And maybe you don't want to do that. We still have 2-3 more months to gauge where we're at. But in no universe is Mac Jones getting the Brock Purdy contract in 3-4 months. That's not going to happen. And that's kind of why I like him. Fits your system. He's not outrageously expensive.
The guy they needed to get was Baker Mayfield. When he was a free agent, when he was a journeyman on the Rams, remember? That's when they should have jumped on him. Because, I mean, look, you look at what he did against the Niners. Dude, he looked phenomenal. He's the reason why they won that game.
Yeah. He's a great quarterback. Double B Studio says, is the Niners' problem diet? I don't know.
Yeah.
Josh P says, Lynch is on the hot seat. We have dog shit drafts, and we don't go for best player available. Draft players who fucking stand out. Don't draft for need.
I mean, there's been a lot of players they drafted that have not worked out. I don't know what their system is for drafting. It sounds like it's like, okay, I got my pick. Jimmy in on the defensive team. Who's your pick this round? I want to go with, it just kind of sounds like, wait a minute, hold on. It sounds like Howie Roseman is like, no, these are the guys I want. You guys can give me your input, but these are the guys I want. And we need somebody.
It seems like Lynch's process is to ask the coaches for input a lot. And I think he thinks it's smart because that way he knows he's always going to draft players who fit their scheme and players that they're like invested in. But when you ask coaches for input, you're always going to get reaches for need because coaches want to fill spots on their depth chart. They're not thinking about 3 years down the line. They could get fired. They need to win the next game. And that's why you need to have a separation between coaches and general managers. Someone has to have their eyes 3 years down the line. It's not the coach. And someone has to have their eyes on the next game. It's not the general manager. Yeah.
If you ask in any workplace environment, you ask a department manager, hey, who do you want in our building for your team? Oh, I want that guy, and that guy. Those are the best guys, and those are the guys that I need. Okay, well, who do you want that's going to be the long-term replacement for you? Huh? I don't know. I don't care. I just want guys that I can get in here now that can make my job easier. And so that's the difference.
And it's like the way they drafted this offseason, it seemed very much like Lynch was asked Saleh, okay, we want to rebuild this defense. Saleh, what do you need? Saleh's like, I need run defenders. So they draft 3 defensive linemen and none of them are pass rushers. Why? Well, you didn't have an immediate need for a pass rush. But guess what? You always need pass rushers. You always need pass rushers, and your needs change on a week-to-week basis because it's the NFL. And here we are, week 10, and this team can stop the run but not rush the quarterback. It's like, how does that happen? Well, you didn't have an immediate need for it in freaking March. So, hope we learned our lesson on that one. Double B Studio says, I think Parag got canned and Lynch leaves. I don't think Parag's getting canned. He's running their soccer teams.
Parag is valuable to them.
Yeah, he's their wartime consigliere. Lee Hollywood H, new member. Thank you. If you haven't heard member only stuff once a week, 3 deep. That's me, Jesse, and the coach. It's a little.
It's a great name.
Thank you. Our illustrious says we've this year learned that with Kyle, we never need to spend big on quarterbacks. They're always talented guys mishandled by the team that drafted them. I would have to say so. You have to be okay
to an extent. I mean, Brian Hoyer was garbage. CJ Beathard was garbage.
True.
Was it Mullins was good for a minute. Then it was like, oh, no, he's not that good.
What Aru is talking about is the like first round pick who had high hopes and got labeled a bust because he was on the Panthers or the Jets. Those are the guys that Kyle's trying to poach. I would think that's the new format. Lee Hollywood H says, look, Grant, let's have a real conversation. Until Jed York or his family really care about winning Super Bowls like Eddie did, Kyle and John will continue to draft bad and have bad offensive lines and never take the quarterback position seriously. Here's a position. Here's a thank you, Lee Hollywood H, for your $50 and putting this in my head. How focused are the 49ers on winning Super Bowls? I know it sounds like a question you would take for granted. Kyle is focused on it. John is focused on it. The players are focused on it. But what about the Yorks? They've sold off 10% of their team in the last 12 months, and they bought a soccer team. They already owned another. They have 2 soccer teams and 1 football team. Again, the optics are that the owners aren't as focused on Super Bowls as they should be. They're also focused on winning other championships and making other money. And I can't help but notice that the Eagles, who just fucking won the Super Bowl, have an owner who owns 1 team, the Eagles. And they're focused on that shit, and they win it. I'm just saying.
When you diversify your business or your company or whatnot, you become more about your profits.
Yep.
What are the earnings? What are we bringing in? And how can we make profits better?
Yep.
And when you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to spend money to do that. And now it seems like they're like, hey, pump the brakes, draft, get younger, get cheaper, develop, and then try to win. And it seems
try to win.
You know what I mean?
Like,
it just seems like ever since the end of last year, they were like, new philosophy, draft, get cheaper, and try to win as much as you can. Yeah, it
seemed like the Yorks and Parag were very into, let's win this Super Bowl so we can legitimize ourselves against, Eddie DeBartolo, Bill Walsh, Carmen Policy. We're in their shadow. So the way to get out of their shadow is to build a stadium, did that, and 2, win a Super Bowl. Well, they're 0 for 3. So can't do that. What they've learned along the way is that they can make a ton of money on their quest for a championship. You don't have to win it. Just have to be on a quest. And so since they don't know what it takes to win it, but they do know what it takes to profit, man, just do that hell on a bunch of teams. I mean, they cannot win championships with 3 or 4 different teams, which is exactly what they're doing. And in the process, they can make hella money. That's what they know how to do. So sorry to be bleak.
It's the truth, though. It's the truth.
It is, man. That's what they're good at. Players get more hurt now than before because NFL cracks down on steroids, which thickens muscle tissue. So this is NFL's fault. Can you investigate? Yeah, I'll get right on that one.
Get on that, Grant.
Justin says, the day we move on from Lynch, I'm crying tears of joy. They need a new draft philosophy. Bad rounds 1 to 3 have been abysmal. Yeah, I think
if John Lynch stuck around and you promoted him, you brought somebody else in who was more of a player personnel expert. To me, that's the winning formula. You don't have to fire him, but then again, he's a competitor. If you say, hey, we're going to promote you, he might say, whoa, I know what you're doing. Fuck that, I'm out of here. You never know.
And again, they need to get over themselves and bring in someone from outside the organization. If they were to do that, that would to me be the most promising sign. You bring in someone from the Rams, that would be interesting. Fire your training staff. Sorry, Dustin Perry, and bring in someone from the Rams. I looked at their injury report. 3 guys on that shit this week. Bring in someone from the Rams injury department, strength and conditioning, and then bring in someone from the Eagles personnel department. That would be a serious move. That's what Eddie DeBartolo would do. So it's a copycat.
3 guys, and the Ravens yesterday. The Ravens reported 0 players on their injury report for the 2nd straight day of practice, and I was like, "What's that like?
How?"
You look at the Niners, I'm just like, that's what I'm saying. Like, are you over-reporting your injuries? Like, what's wrong with you?
Doubt it.
I have a sore tummy. Sore tummy. Put him down. Limited. You know, it's kind of like there's just so.
True.
You're telling me all those players on the Ravens, the Rams, whoever, they're like tip top. Like, yeah, we're ready to go. They don't have any ailing ankle injuries or knee injuries because they're like, D. Winters, knee bruise. Like, wait, what? Nobody has these? I feel like they're over-reporting all their injuries. I really do.
I think you might have something here, because what the theme of the show today is controlling the discourse. And what do the Niners want us to say about them? A lot of injuries. Hey, this is just beyond the pale. I mean, this is like nothing we've ever seen. I mean, forget all the guys on IR. Just look at their practice report. I mean, there's 15 names on it. I mean, and that's the conversation constantly. Not like, are they going to make the playoffs? It's like, if they make the playoffs, is Kyle Shanahan the coach of the year? Should he get an extension? You know what I mean?
Some of those guys on the list, they end up playing on Sunday. And you're like, wait a minute, that guy was hurt all week, and now he's playing. So to me, it's like, hey, look, like you were saying, controlling the narrative, right? Let's just put as many players as we can on there. We're hurt, we're banged up, but we're
that's all you can talk about.
And we're winning games.
Yeah.
Because we don't give up. We don't take no shit from anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
we're a great story.
There you go.
We're a great story.
And look at 2023.
We should be getting more recognition.
In 23, what was the story? Mr. Irrelevant is leading us to the fucking Super Bowl.
Yep.
And you know what? True. That whole thing got screwed up because Brock Purdy, more than likely, had a shot to beat the Eagles and then gets the Super Bowl in his first year. And I guarantee you, if anyone thinks that this game is rigged, the NFL would have made Brock Purdy the Super Bowl champion and MVP of the Super Bowl if he would have beat the Eagles. I mean, come on, that's like a Disney movie right there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Instead, he got hurt, and they were like, oh, shit. And then the next year he got there, but it just didn't seem like as magical, probably to the NFL, as it did the year before. Because, like, well, he did this last year, so it's fine. I mean, whatever. But they
it's our PrizePicks segment time. I always think it's funny to watch PrizePicks try to figure out throughout the week who's going to play. And I don't know, someone must have told him that Brock Purdy is going to be the quarterback in this game. I'm a little confused about how they feel that way, but why not? Well, hey, do you think Brock Purdy, if he plays, which he won't, but if he plays, you think he'll throw for more than 199 yards?
Yes.
I think he will.
That was a hard yes.
A hard yes. Why not? I just want to have Purdy on my sheet. Okay, Matthew Stafford, 264.5 passing yards, more or fewer?
More. I think he throws 300.
I mean, it's a 7-on-7 game. I think he's going to go, for a lot.
I think he's going to go off.
Receiving yards. Okay, how about George Kittle, man? This guy's been doing a whole bunch of nothing since he got back. He's blocking. But all he's doing is taking targets away from my favorite player ever, Jake Tonjison. Is really chapping my hide. So do you think he actually steps up? 51.5. That's all he needs to do. Where'd you go, buddy? Where'd you go?
It's gone.
There it is.
I would say that, yeah.
Has to. They lose if he doesn't get 51.5. So I'm with that. How about the forgotten man, Kendrick Bourne? 33.5.
I would say more. I think he's going to end up somewhere around 47 yards, 46 yards.
Because their offense is worse. Outlet. Yeah, I mean, they're better when they get him involved. Puka Nacua, 93.5.
More.
He went for 85 against the Niners last time.
And I think he was kind of banged up, too, last time we played him. So okay. I think that's going to be a huge focal point.
Devontae Adams. How about this one? Touchdown. More or less half.
I would say at least one touchdown. He's a big target, so, and if they get in the red zone.
Okay, we went Moores for all, and we were feeling very generous and excited and optimistic. So we're going to flex it just in case, although we're right, submitting. And if you want to play, download PrizePicks yourself. Use promo code COHN. Play $5. Get $50 instantly in lineups with that promo code. It's my last name, COHN. PrizePicks available in 45 states, including California and Texas. Yeah. Those are our topics. Yeah, man, they got practice in about 15 minutes. You think Keon White's going to be out there?
He better be out there. We just got this guy. He's our savior, I thought. I think he'll be out there. I think he won't be practicing, though. I think they're probably going to say, hey, just take it easy. The groin. Because he has to play.
You think they're going to list Brock as questionable? They have to, right? He was questionable last week.
Absolutely. But what are the optics of him being the backup? Like, oh, he's going to be our backup today. Like, wait, what? Why can't he start?
What if both Mac and Brock split series in this game and they have a 2-quarterback system?
Like an opener and a closer, like Major League Baseball. We'll have Brock open it, Mac, you close it. Maybe.
That's funny. All right. John says, Grant, time to find the razor. Focus on a win. Hey, thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. I got to run. Dre, great stuff.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.